Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Deneen and today I'm going to be showing you how to make vegan split pea soup using dried and bulk ingredients. Now this recipe, you're gonna see here that it's lacking in fresh foods, and I'm not sure if you read the description or if you read the blog post, which I will link in the description below, but the purpose of this series is to serve as many people as possible. I do plan in the future on having a recipe series with more fresh, healthy foods, but the goal of this particular series is to serve people who don't have a lot of access to fresh foods. And so some of the recipes are going to be more accessible to others. To some than others. I understand that. I'm focusing on people who live in food deserts, but some deserts are more barren than others. So there are some people who are going to have access to everything in this recipe. And there are going to be some people who don't have access to everything in this recipe. And that's okay, because I am going to try my best to include substitutions that you might have access to, and I just really hope that these recipes will reach more people, because I know what it feels like to be in a situation like that. When I lived in Los Angeles, believe it or not, I lived in an area that was very far away from grocery stores. I did not have a car, I didn't drive, and I worked so much that I didn't always have time to go to the grocery store. So I ended up having to rely on a corner store that was not a grocery store. It had groceries, it had dried beans, it had canned vegetables, the bags and the plastics, the plastic bags with the spices in them, and then ready-made food and junk food. And that was really what I had access to on a daily basis. Oh, and Jack in the Box. So I understand, and it's funny because Los Angeles, you wouldn't think of it, but it's a huge place, and there are some areas that just don't have access, where you just don't have access to grocery stores. You can take the bus and the train, but that can be time consuming, and then getting all your groceries back on a crowded bus or train is very difficult. So anyway, I'm going to try my best to make these videos as accessible as possible, understanding that I don't know what your situation is, but I would really appreciate if you guys could leave comments giving suggestions, or even pictures of like, I don't know if your stores allow you to take pictures, don't get in trouble for me, but if you can show me what groceries you have access to, I can try my best to tailor a healthiest possible vegan recipe from those ingredients so that I can help you. So anyway, that's what the series is about. I called it, you've seen the intro already, but it's called Bulk Budget Bites. Had a really difficult time remembering that name, coming up with that name. I changed it a few times. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into the video. This recipe is really good, by the way. It was non-vegan boyfriend approved, so he loved it. So I'm just saying, I think you're gonna love it. I thought it was delicious too, but I'm biased, I guess, because I'm vegan. But yeah, non-vegan boyfriend thought it was delicious, so let's get into the recipe. Alright, so for this recipe, you are going to need split peas, a dried spice mix, texturized vegetable protein or TVP, soy-based bacon bits, and also a bouillon. And you're going to need lots of water. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to add the water to our TVP. Now we're just going to want to pour enough to cover it. You don't have to be exact with this. We're going to be rehydrating it, so you don't want it to absorb the water that you're going to be using to cook your split peas. So I do recommend doing this on the side, and we're going to be adding this in later. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our pan and we're going to water saute our dried vegetables. So these dried vegetables, they're going to hydrate even more as you cook them, but again, you don't want to take away from the water that you need to cook the split peas. So I would say water saute them, just use however much water you need. So this is what they look like when they're dried, and this is what they'll look like when you are ready to move on to the next step. And the next step is to add your bouillon. So you're going to go ahead and throw that in the pan. Mine is a liquid, so I do like to mix it in with the ingredients in the pan and then break up any lumps to make sure that it's evenly distributed. So I do that, and then I add the full quantity of water that you need to cook the split peas. So in our case, that was 8 cups of water. So we're going to go ahead and add that water. After that, we're going to go ahead and pour in our split peas. We're going to stir, and then we're going to cover, and we're going to be cooking this, by the way, on medium heat. So you're going to go ahead and do that. So I would say Set your timer for 30 minutes. And I would also say go ahead and taste your recipe at this point. I didn't include salt in the recipe because depending on what stock or bouillon you're using, you might not need to add salt. So after 30 minutes, I've gone ahead and come back, and this is what the peas look like. You can see that they're very much cooked. They're starting to fall apart, but they aren't quite there yet. Now don't worry, it's going to look like there's a lot of water in the soup. Don't worry, the soup is going to thicken up from this point. So don't feel like you added too much water. It's the perfect amount of water for this recipe. And at this point, you are going to stir and scrape the bottom, make sure that nothing is sticking, and then you're going to add in all of your TVP. Go ahead and add that in and then mix it up. And the TVP is really good because it takes on the flavor of what you're cooking. It absorbs the flavor, but it also has a nice meaty texture. So in this case, it almost feels like you do have bits of ham in the soup. It's really good. So go ahead and toss that in. Stir, make sure again to scrape the bottom, and then cover and cook for an additional 10 minutes. Now after that 10 minutes is up, go ahead and remove your lid, again scraping the pot to make sure that nothing is sticking, and then you're going to add in your bacon bits. Now we're going to just go ahead and sprinkle those over the top, stir them in, and then we're going to cook for an additional 10 minutes, and you can go ahead and lower the heat at this point. We're just wanting to soften up those bacon. Alright, now that the 10 minutes are up, we're going to scrape the bottom of the pan one last time. Turn your pan off the heat or take it off the burner and let it cool, and then you are ready to serve. The soup is so good. The texture is perfect. It comes out really thick. I'm telling you, I know that when you're earlier on in the stage of cooking, it looks like there's too much water, but it's the perfect amount of water, and it thickens up in the fridge as well. So it's going to be a little bit thicker the next time you eat it than it is right now. Now this recipe is insanely inexpensive, so it's quick. It's fairly quick. It's probably going to be the longer of these recipes, only because you don't have the advantage of soaking the peas ahead of time. You can do that, but they don't taste as great, if that makes any sense. These peas actually do need to cook for a while to develop the flavor and to get that creamy, starchy consistency, and when you soak them first, for some reason they don't come out in the same way. Here's the cost breakdown of this recipe. As you can see, it's very inexpensive per serving. It's just a really great recipe. It's really filling, it's hearty, it's warming, it warms your bones. It's a comfort food, especially during this time when everybody's worried about getting sick, getting that virus. Just want to stay inside and eat some soup. And here is the caloric breakdown of this recipe. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. Again, I know that this recipe is absolutely lacking freshness. If you want to, you can go ahead and add fresh, like maybe tempeh or soy bacon, or tofu bacon, I mean, into the dish. You could have also used fresh carrots, fresh celery, fresh onions, and also garlic in this recipe, and that would have made it good, but this is specifically for people who don't have access to those things. So I would say if you like this recipe, please give it a like, please subscribe, and please share it, because I really do want to show people that if they have access to some ingredients that might not seem like much, but you can make a lot from these things if you're inventive, if you really want to. And I mean, you're doing the best that you can. Like, just do the best that you can. Eating something like this, even though it is lacking in fresh vegetables, is still probably better than your alternatives, right? The junk food from the fast food restaurant. So I really would appreciate it if you could share this video with people, so that we can show people that if you don't have access to a lot of things, it's not a hopeless case. You can still have healthy vegan foods. So as stated before, this series is going to be focused on dried foods, bulk foods, but I'm also going to include canned foods and frozen foods, because those were things I'm modeling these on the access that I had when I lived in an area where there weren't a lot of groceries. And I really would appreciate it if you would leave your feedback in the comments. What are things like in your food desert? What are things like where you are? Do you have maybe the only frozen vegetables you have access to are corn and that vegetable medley that has corn, carrots, green beans, and peas? Like, let me know what you have access to, so I can try to tailor these recipes for you, because I really want to help you. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful. I hope you will try it out, and if you do, please feel free to tag me in your recipe videos, because I would love to see them. Again, these videos, I mean, they are targeted to people who don't have access, but I would say anybody can follow them and tweak them as needed or leave them as they are. These recipes might be great for camping. These recipes might be great for people who are just looking to cook more healthy food, but also waste less in fresh produce. If you're someone who doesn't have a lot of time, or you're not great with managing your produce. I know I used to be guilty of that. I would buy lots of produce, get really excited about it, forget it was in there, and then when I'm ready to use it, it's bad. So I would say cooking in this way can be really beneficial for that, and also for cutting down your grocery budget. So you can have meals like this maybe once a week, maybe once or twice a week. You can use recipes like this in your meal preps if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of time to meal prep, or if meal prepping seems overwhelming to you. Just making a large pot of food and dividing it up can be a simple solution to that problem. So again, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe for more, because this is going to be a series. I'm going to be posting videos like this every Wednesday. Go ahead and mark that notification bell if you would like to be notified of when these recipes are posted. For the most part, my channel is about food. It's also about weight loss, and I do workout videos where I talk about or I just talk about different things that are going on in my life, realizations, things that are making my life better, and I want to share them with other people because I want you to be happy too. So if you are interested in that, then go ahead and subscribe and you will see more of it. Thank you for watching. Bye.